Claire Livingston had it all: beauty, brains, billions, and the Livingston name that opened doors worldwide. But that all changed one rainy evening when her sports car skidded off a cliffside road and plummeted into the ravine below. She survived, but her spine didn't. Now, 6 months later, she sat in her private rehabilitation mansion, surrounded by silence and shadows. Dozens of top-tier neurologists had come and gone. Therapists quit after a few weeks. No one could get through to her, not emotionally, not physically. And certainly not medically. Claire had stopped trying. She had stopped hoping. Until the janitor spoke. Michael Bennett wasn't a doctor. He didn't wear white coats or speak in complicated medical terms. He wore a faded gray uniform, cleaned the floors, emptied trash bins, and pushed a mop in the halls of her rehab center. He was invisible, or so Claire thought. One afternoon, while wheeling herself into the courtyard, she heard him humming a soft, familiar tune. She stopped, annoyed, and watched him polish the railings near the therapy garden. "You're off key," she said flatly. Michael looked up and smiled. "Good to know. I'll tell my showerhead." She raised an eyebrow. Most people avoided eye contact with her now, intimidated by her name or uncomfortable with her condition. But not this man. "Do you always talk to people like that?" she asked. "Only when they talk to me first," he replied. She was intrigued. Just a little. That's how the conversations began, in short, sharp jabs. Snarky remarks exchanged over the hum of a vacuum. Michael never forced a smile, never offered pity. And that, oddly, made Claire keep talking. One day, after a particularly frustrating therapy session where she failed to even twitch her foot, Claire threw her glass across the room. Michael was the one who came in to clean it. He said nothing as he swept the shards into a dustpan. "I used to run marathons," she said bitterly. "Now I can't even move my pinky toe. You don't know what that's like." Michael paused. "No, I don't," he said quietly. "But I know what it's like to feel powerless." She turned to him, eyes sharp. "Let me guess, you wanted to be a CEO too?" He chuckled. "No, my wife had cancer. I watched her fight for every breath. I was the only one there every day when she stopped walking, then stopped talking, then stopped breathing." Claire looked away, her smirk fading. Michael continued, gently, "But before she passed, she made me promise something: never stop believing in second chances." She scoffed, masking emotion. "You think I'm a second chance?" He looked her in the eye. "I think you're stronger than you believe. And I think you'll walk again." She stared at him for a moment, then burst into laughter. A bitter, amused, sharp laugh. "A janitor thinks he's going to heal the paralyzed billionaire. That's rich." Michael didn't laugh. He just said, quietly, "I don't need to be a doctor to care. But I'll be here, if you ever want to try." Claire wiped a tear she didn't know had fallen. And for the first time in months, she didn't tell someone to leave. Michael didn't expect to hear from Claire again. After her bitter laugh and biting remark, he assumed their interaction was over, just another moment that flared up and then faded like so many others in her life. But when he came to clean the therapy room the next evening, he noticed something different. The door was slightly ajar. Claire was inside, alone, in her wheelchair, staring at her motionless legs. She didn't acknowledge him as he entered. He moved around quietly, wiping surfaces and emptying bins, until her voice cut through the silence. "You're back." Michael glanced up. Didn't plan on skipping. She didn't look at him. "Most people don't come back after I laugh at them." He smiled softly. "I've been laughed at by tougher crowds. You're not that scary." She smirked, a flicker of something human and warm breaking through the hardened shell. Then silence again. Finally, Claire spoke, her voice lower. "I was cruel." Michael didn't respond right away. "Then, you've earned the right to be angry. But cruelty, that's not you. That's the pain talking." Claire's lips parted slightly, like she was about to argue. But no words came out. That night changed everything. Over the next few days, Michael began showing up in the therapy room after his shift ended. Not because anyone asked him to. Not for pay. Just because. At first, he simply sat in the corner, reading while Claire worked with her physical therapist. He didn't comment or interfere. But every so often, when her frustration peaked and she lashed out, his calm presence would pull her back from the edge. One afternoon, after a long and failed attempt to lift her right foot even a millimeter, Claire snapped. "I hate this," she screamed. "I hate this stupid chair. I hate this body. I hate." Her voice cracked. Her fists pounded her thighs. Michael walked over and crouched beside her. You know what Ellie, my wife, used to do when she got frustrated during chemo? Claire shook her head, tears stinging her eyes. She'd punch a pillow and scream her favorite curse word. Not at anyone, just at the world. Claire let out a small laugh through the tears. That actually sounds healthy. Michael gently handed her a throw pillow from the couch nearby. Be my guest. She stared at it. Then, slowly, almost awkwardly, she hugged it, and let out one deep, angry scream into the fabric. It wasn't much, but it was something. Over the next few weeks, Claire began to allow Michael to help with small things. He adjusted her wheelchair settings when she complained about discomfort. He brought her a better grip mat for her feet. He even found her a playlist of music Ellie once used to train with, strong, steady, rhythmic. This one's called Rise Like Fire, he said, handing her his old Bluetooth speaker. She used to play it during her final round of therapy. Swore it gave her superpowers. Claire rolled her eyes, but the next day, Michael heard that very song echoing from the therapy room. And later that week, it happened. She moved, just barely, a twitch, a slight, almost invisible pull in her right toe. But Michael saw it. You moved it, he said, stepping closer. Claire didn't react at first. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. I saw it. I'm not sure. Try again. She stared down, focusing with all her might. Her brow furrowed, lips tight, and after several seconds, nothing. Then, just the tiniest flicker. Michael grinned. There, again. Claire's hands went to her face, covering her mouth. She shook, and he thought she was laughing. But then he saw her shoulders. She was crying, full-bodied, breathless sobs. Not from pain, but from hope. I thought I was done, she whispered. That there was nothing left. Michael kneeled beside her. It's a beginning. Word spread quickly among the staff. The paralyzed billionaire had regained some movement. Therapists who once kept their distance now leaned in. Doctors ordered new scans. Specialists returned. But Claire didn't trust them, not fully. She trusted Michael. He was still just a janitor on paper. But in practice, he became her coach. He created new stretching routines. Found creative ways to make exercises fun. Sometimes they used balloons to work on upper body balance. Sometimes, he turned music on and challenged her to clap to the beat. And all the while, they talked. About life, about loss, about the people they used to be, and the people they still hope to become. Michael shared stories about Josh, his 12-year-old son, his pride and joy. He wants to be an engineer, he said one afternoon. Build bridges. I think it's poetic, a kid who lost his mother wanting to connect people. Claire smiled. Sounds like he got your heart. Michael's expression softened. I hope so. He's what kept me going when I wanted to give up. Claire looked down at her hands. You never gave up, once, for about a week after Ellie died. But then Josh walked into the kitchen with a cape made of paper towels and said, Dad, superheroes don't cry. Claire laughed. He sounds incredible. He is. And so are you. She paused. You think I'm a superhero? He shrugged. You're still standing, even if it doesn't look like it yet. Weeks turned into months. Claire now moved both feet, slowly, shakily, but clearly. She could lift herself partially from the wheelchair, stand with support, and even take 2 assisted steps between parallel bars. She no longer screamed when she fell. She got back up, and Michael was there every single time, offering his hand without judgment. One evening, after a particularly grueling session, Claire sat in her chair on the balcony, watching the sunset. Michael stood beside her, sipping from a chipped coffee mug. You're not just helping me walk again, she said softly. You're helping me feel human again. Michael didn't respond. He just looked out at the orange sky. Then Claire asked something unexpected. Do you ever miss coaching? Michael smiled. Every day. But this is more than coaching. This is life. A pause. Then Claire whispered, would it be crazy to say I'm grateful for the accident? Michael turned to her, surprised. She continued, it forced me to see the truth. That all the money, power, parties, none of it filled the emptiness. But you did. Your kindness, your stories, your belief, they gave me a reason to try. Michael swallowed hard, emotion rising. I didn't do anything special. She reached out and gently squeezed his hand. You showed up when no one else did. That night, after Claire had gone to bed, Michael stood by the large window of the estate, looking out at the moonlight. He thought about how far she had come. About how many times he wanted to walk away, convinced she'd never change. About how often people judged worth by title, janitor, billionaire, doctor, patient, and missed the truth hiding beneath. People were just people, broken, healing, searching, and sometimes, they found each other at the exact moment they were needed most. 3 months later, Claire stood. Her hands trembled as she gripped the parallel bars in the therapy room. Sweat lined her brow, her legs shook violently under her weight, but she was standing. Not for 5 seconds, not with someone holding her, not with braces locking her knees. She did it, by herself. Michael stood a few steps behind, silent, his eyes wide, heart pounding. Then, as she took one careful, unsteady step forward, he felt it, the kind of joy that goes beyond victory. The kind of joy that only comes when you've watched someone rise from nothing. From darkness, from despair. Claire collapsed into the chair after that single step, laughing breathlessly, tears streaking down her cheeks. I did it, I actually did it. Michael knelt beside her, gently holding her hand. You didn't just take a step, he whispered. You moved mountains. Claire let out a joyful sob and covered her face. All this time, I thought I was broken beyond repair. Michael looked her dead in the eye. You were never broken, just waiting to rebuild. A few days later, Claire surprised him again. She invited him and his son, Josh, to a formal charity gala she hosted every year, an event he had only ever seen in magazines. A night of shimmering gowns, men in tuxedos, and flashing cameras. Normally filled with CEOs, politicians, and celebrities. This year, Michael would be there. Claire, he said with hesitation as she handed him the invitation, I don't exactly own a tux. She grinned. Good thing I do. And I ordered you one. You just have to wear it. He chuckled nervously. You're serious. Dead serious. You've been by my side every step. You deserve to be there for this one. Michael looked down at the envelope in his hand. It felt heavier than it should, not from weight, but from meaning. Claire wasn't just inviting him to a gala. She was inviting him into her world. The night of the event arrived. Michael stood outside the grand ballroom with Josh, both dressed in black tuxedos, awkward but clean-cut. The chandelier above sparkled like a galaxy. Staff in white gloves opened the doors as they entered, and for a moment, Michael felt like he'd walked into another life. Dad, Josh whispered, wide-eyed. This place smells like diamonds. Michael laughed quietly. Yeah, well, don't touch anything. We might owe them your college fund. Then the music stopped, and the spotlight shifted, and there she was, Claire, descending the grand marble staircase in a deep emerald gown, her hair tied back, her posture regal, and most importantly, her steps her own. The crowd gasped, cameras flashed, people stood, but Michael didn't move. He watched her, awe in his eyes. She wasn't holding onto a cane. She wasn't in a chair. She was walking. Yes, slowly. Yes, carefully. But she was walking. Claire took the mic as she reached the center of the room. Her voice was clear and steady. 6 months ago, I was told I'd never walk again, she began. And I believed it. The room fell silent. I had the best doctors. The finest therapists. But I didn't have the will. I had given up. A pause. Until one man, who wasn't a specialist, who wasn't a billionaire, who wasn't anyone this world would expect, looked me in the eye and said, you will walk again. And for reasons I still can't explain, I believed him. She turned, found Michael in the crowd, and gestured toward him. I'd like to ask the man who taught me to believe again, Mr. Michael Bennett, to join me for the first dance. The room broke into applause. Michael froze. Dance? Claire, I don't. Josh nudged him. Dad, go. With a breath, he stepped onto the dance floor. Claire met him at the center. You're not nervous, are you? She teased. I was more comfortable cleaning under cafeteria tables, he muttered. She laughed. Then let's clean this floor with our moves. Music swelled. A soft, slow melody. She placed her hand on his shoulder. He gently held her waist. And they danced. Awkwardly. Carefully. But they danced. And in that moment, nothing else existed. Not their titles, not their pasts, not their scars. Just two people who helped each other rise again. The gala was a success. Claire raised a record-breaking amount for spinal injury research. Donors were moved to tears. Reporters called the night, the miracle dance, not just because Claire walked, but because of who walked with her. Michael's phone rang for weeks after. Schools wanted him to speak. Clinics asked him to consult. News outlets requested interviews, but he declined them all. "I'm not looking for attention," he told Claire. "I just wanted you to walk." But she wasn't having it. "You wanted me to believe. And now, I want you to believe too." "In what?" "In yourself. A few months later, Claire founded a nonprofit, the Bennett Foundation, named in his honor. Its mission, to provide emotional support and physical recovery coaching to patients who couldn't afford elite rehab. Michael was asked to lead it. At first, he refused. "I'm just a janitor," he repeated. Claire grabbed his hand and said, "You were never just a janitor. You're the reason I'm standing. And I want the world to stand too." So he accepted. He left his job at the rehab center, tearfully, lovingly. The staff sent him off with hugs, gratitude, and homemade cupcakes. Even the grumpy old night nurse who never smiled gave him a firm handshake. He moved into a modest office in the heart of the foundation's new building, a converted warehouse filled with therapy mats, equipment, music, and laughter. Claire visited often, not as a patient anymore, but as a partner. She helped fundraise. She helped design. And one day, she came with a new surprise. "I've been working on something," she said, placing an envelope on his desk. Michael opened it. Inside was a birth certificate. Josh Bennett, officially adopted by Claire Livingston, it read. He looked up, stunned. "I want him to have every opportunity. A future, security, and, if it's okay, I want to be part of your family." Michael's throat tightened. "You already are. Years later, Claire and Michael sat in the front row as Josh graduated from college with honors in biomedical engineering. He gave a speech about building bridges, not just between cities, but between hearts. And when he said, "This is for my two parents, one who taught me to dream, and one who taught me to fight for others," there wasn't a dry eye in the auditorium. Claire squeezed Michael's hand. They had come from opposite worlds, one from penthouses, one from cleaning halls. But fate didn't care about wealth. It cared about love, about kindness, about who shows up when no one else does. And that's what Michael did. He showed up, he believed, he healed, and in doing so, he didn't just help someone walk again. He built a future no one thought possible. Together.